Welcome to The Explainer. So today is huge because we are officially kicking off day one of our 145-day grammar challenge. We're diving right into Unit 1 of Raymond Murphy's classic English Grammar in Use. And we're tackling a topic that honestly trips up so many learners, but it is absolutely crucial for your daily communication. We're demystifying the present continuous tense, that famous I am doing structure. By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly how this works, we'll walk through some real-life examples, and you'll learn how to completely avoid the most common mistakes. We're basically taking these dense, complex grammar rules and turning them into clear, visual, and immediately useful knowledge. Let's get into it.
But first, to really master the mechanics of English, we can't just blindly memorize rules, right? We need to start by looking at a real problem waiting to be solved. So think about this. Why is it perfectly correct to say, I am running, but grammatically totally wrong to say, I am understanding? I mean, they both end in ing, right? They both seem to describe something happening right at this very moment. And yet, one sounds perfectly natural, and the other will immediately signal to a native speaker that something is just off. Keep this little puzzle in the back of your mind, because we're going to solve it together very soon.
Before we unlock that puzzle, I want to share a really fascinating concept from one of our source articles on educational design. It says, the thumbnail is the silent teacher standing at the door of the classroom. I just love that idea. Just like a great educational image acts as a silent teacher that promises clarity instead of confusion, our whole goal today is to strip away all that dense, intimidating text you normally find in grammar books. We're going to visually master the present continuous tense, focusing on just one sharp, clear concept at a time.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Anatomy of Present Continuous.
The foundation here is actually incredibly simple, provided you don't drop any of the pieces. You literally just combine three elements. First, you've got your subject. Second, the correct conjugation of the to-be auxiliary verb. So that's am, is, or are. And third, your main verb ending with those three little letters ing. So, I am speaking, or looking at an example from our source text, Sarah is in her car, so she is driving to work. Or they are playing. If you can lock this visual formula into your brain right now, you've already won half the battle. It really is that straightforward.
So, when do we actually use this neat little formula? Well, we primarily use it to describe an action that started in the past, is in progress exactly right now, and just hasn't finished yet in the future. Imagine you're standing right in the middle of it. For example, if I say, please don't make so much noise, I am trying to work. I am right in the thick of that action. It is happening exactly as the words are coming out of my mouth.
Comparing this to the simple present actually provides a massive light bulb moment for a lot of people. I live in London states a permanent fact. It's a routine, a permanent situation. But look at the continuous structure. I am living with my sister. Boom. Using the present continuous instantly signals to whoever you're talking to that this is a temporary situation, happening around right now. Maybe just until I find my own apartment. You aren't just rattling off facts, you're painting a vibrant picture of a very specific moment in your life.
Which brings us to Section 2, Beyond the Present Moment.
The really cool thing here is that this tense is a highly versatile tool. Yes, for sure, it covers actions happening exactly right now, and yes, it covers those temporary situations around now, like we literally just talked about. But it also expertly handles dynamic changes that are just starting to happen, and this is the surprising part for some folks, it even handles firm plans in the future. Let's break those last two down real quick.
Let's look at describing changes first. We know we use the simple present for absolute, unchanging facts, like the Earth revolves around the sun. It does that every single day. It's a permanent rule. But we rely on the present continuous to describe a dynamic change that has started to happen and is actively continuing over time, like the population of the world is increasing very fast, or is your English getting better? You use this tense when you want to show that something is in motion, shifting, or evolving right in front of our eyes.
And what about using it for the future? Well, the present continuous can actually capture absolute certainty about future plans. The text gives us this great example. We're eating at Joe's Cafe tonight. We've already booked the table. Now, why use the continuous here instead of we will eat? Because a firm plan or program already exists before you even started speaking. The decision is made, the table's booked, the action in the future is completely locked in. The present continuous perfectly captures that high level of certainty.
All right, moving on to Section 3, the annoying always.
Now let's see how adding one specific word can entirely change the emotional vibe of your sentence. That word is always.
If you use always with the simple present, like I always make the same mistake, it just states a neutral, objective habit. It's just a fact. But if you use it with the present continuous, I'm always making the same mistake, suddenly it injects a highly emotive, usually pretty frustrated tone into your voice.
This quote captures it perfectly. Not again. You're always losing your keys. When you combine always with the present continuous like this, you are describing an action that happens way too often. It's usually a little annoying and you definitely aren't happy about it. It brings this deeply relatable human element to the grammar, you know? It literally shifts your sentence from a simple observation right into a personal complaint.
Next up, Section 4, Avoiding Common Pitfalls.
So with the mechanics clear, let's look at the traps that trip up so many learners. First up, and this is a big one, forgetting the to-be verb entirely. Saying they playing football happens because our brains kind of rush ahead to that ing action word, and we just skip right over the structural glue. You absolutely must include are. They are playing football in the park. Without that little auxiliary verb, the required structure of the tense completely falls apart.
But the single most common mistake, and the one that brings us right back to the beginning of this explainer, involves something called stative verbs. What are those? Well, these are verbs that describe internal states of being, feelings, senses, and thoughts. They do not describe active, observable physical motions.
Take words like wanting, needing, preferring, knowing, understanding, or believing, because these are internal states and not physical actions you can actually sit there and visibly watch someone do. These verbs generally do not work in the continuous form. I mean, you don't be in the middle of needing something. You either need it or you don't, right?
And this brilliantly, perfectly answers our opening question. This is exactly why I am running works, because running is a physical action currently in progress. But saying I am understanding this grammar lesson is grammatically wrong, because understanding is a state of mind. It's a fact of your internal reality and not an ongoing physical action. So it must stay in the simple present. The correct way to say it is simply, I understand this grammar lesson. Mystery solved.
Let's solidify this with a quick real-life practice exercise straight from Unit 1. If you're asking if someone wants coffee, you use the simple present. Do you want a cup of coffee? You look tired. You would literally never say, are you wanting a cup of coffee? Because wanting is a state of feeling, not an active process. On the flip side, look at this other example. The weather is changing. Look at those clouds. Changing is an active, dynamic process, so the continuous form is absolutely perfect there. It all comes down to deciding, is it an action or is it a state? And that brings us to the end of our Day 1 deep dive. So next time you are speaking or writing in English and describing an action, I really want you to ask yourself, are you stating a permanent, unchanging fact? Or are you painting a vibrant picture of a temporary moment in motion? By mastering these visual and structural rules we've covered today, you can transform your communication from simple, flat statements into dynamic, accurate expressions of the world around you. Thank you so much for joining me for Day 1 of the 145-Day Grammar Challenge in this explainer. Keep practicing, keep visualizing that grammar, and I'll see you for Day 2.